Let's talk about where you are right now in your journey. I'm speaking namely of where you find yourself in the middle of having faced the abyss, of having shed a tremendous amount of who you are not, even as you are curiously exploring what it is to step forward as who you are. So many people want the answers to the questions, they want the clarity in their life. But not every person wants to willingly take the steps that are necessary to actually see the core material of yourself and this reality. If you're viewing this particular message, you are one such person who has not only willingly made the choice to do the inner descent into the void, into curiosity, but right now, even as you may find yourself in the midst of unknowing, you are receiving direct rememberings, guidance, and messages that are assisting you in taking your current step. And one of the reasons you are finding this in precise timing is more and more so you are living in flow with yourself. You are remembering how to traverse the field of synchronicity. After all, you wouldn't find this particular message otherwise. Now, I'm Danielle Lynn, and I hang out with very awesome creators such as yourself, who are, once again, remembering just how powerful you are. As you surf and parkour through this particular reality, we meet time and time again. Today, I have a few messages for you. So, let's dive in. I actually took notes for this one because there was a lot coming through. So, one of the first messages was a reflection of you, traversing the depths. Now, this could be the depths of your psyche. This could be the depths of your belief system. There's this interesting image that comes to mind where if you were in the darkness, maybe your eyes wouldn't be able to perceive as well what was going on. But let's say you suddenly realized that you had echolocation, and then you started using that echolocation, you would realize that your extrasensory ability could actually assist you in navigating even if your eyes weren't being particularly useful at that moment. In the same way, it's almost as though you're remembering that thinking, thoughts, logic, force-based ways of moving have been one way to navigate. But in the juncture that you find yourself now, they're not nearly as useful as they were before. And so it's almost as though you've been drawn into stillness. It's like you've been drawn into this intentional pause. It almost reminds me of the ability to realize that you don't have to move frantically. Even if there's a lot going on around you, it's like you are tapping in to the ability to be the stillness, to tune in, discern, make the choice, and make the movement in the moment. And rather than panicking because you don't know how every single step is going to turn out or how the whole picture looks, it's like you're willing to move with more fluidity in the now moment. This is what it is to be able to traverse the abyss, to be able to walk in the depths without losing one's head. If you find yourself in a moment of overwhelm, the message is to be still. The message is to be calm. The message is to be like water. Study the ways of water. You don't need to thrash about to make your way through this particular juncture. In fact, it's almost as though you are remembering that less is more, and that even though in the past you may have thought you needed to expend a lot of energy to figure out how to be from where you are now to where you imagine you want to go, it is like you are inducting yourself into a more precise way of moving through and navigating your reality. In doing so, in being so, It's like you have discovered greater capacity within the full range of your body, of your energy, of your emotional field, and of your very life. Instead of imagining that external things have the power and the capacity to determine your inner state, you remember that you are the arbiter of your inner state, first and foremost. This changes the entire game of life. This changes the entire game of life because then you get to decide what your role and your response to any situation that happens is. I invite you to tune in for a moment and understand how powerful that really is. What a power move it is to be able to meet life as you are, not when you have a certain amount of money, not when you have a certain body, not when life looks a certain way, but right now, to be able to connect within and then respond to what is going on. This is the threshold you are right now initiating for yourself. And so, if there's anything going on that has intensity around you, once again, if there is overwhelm, if there's a lot going on, I invite you to take a nice full breath. I invite you to really anchor to that stillness place within. And before you make a movement or choice, find and remember and be the equilibrium. And then make a choice from there. Understanding that when you make a choice from there, you are literally bringing the seed of that balance and equilibrium into anything that you encounter. And some way, somehow, all the things find their path through. In being this way, you're literally a cycle breaker, but not because you're doing something. It's as much about what you're not doing. It's as much about being able to tap into and respond from stillness as your primary way of being, rather than from reactiveness, rather than from pretending that you are in any way, shape, or form at the mercy of the reality around you. What sometimes helps to remember is no matter what ends up happening, on some level, this is only one facet of the totality of who you are. I don't say that so that you dismiss this life. I say that so you remember that there is this life and there is a greater you included with it. In so, you can approach this life both with presence and levity all at once, which assists you in taking deeper breaths, with taking it less seriously in the best possible way while still allowing yourself to live it fully. It is like the perfect equation of ingredients to really, really, really have your best possible time doing whatever it is you do, you wild thing. And so in that spirit, I'm going to offer you a few messages, a few reflections that you can consider for yourself. And so in that spirit, I have a few additional messages for you, reflections you can consider for yourself that, from my perspective, are absolutely applicable to where you find yourself right here and now. One of the first is you are indeed in the midst of a new cycle and a rebirth. And it's a cycle within cycle within cycles. And so there is this awareness that part of what you have been shedding, part of what you have been inviting yourself to step into, is to really participate deliberately in the current cycle of rebirth that you, on some level, are initiating yourself through, which is pretty fun. This is an opportunity, as mentioned earlier, to operate from a completely new frequency, a completely new way. Here's the thing. It might feel intense at first because whenever we choose to step into a new way of being, what are we doing? On some level, we're letting go of an old way of being. Whenever we let go of an old way of being, it's not necessarily that the thing we're letting go of is all bad. In fact, it may have really served us for a good deal of time. In fact, it may still have its beauty in your life. So sometimes the letting go is letting go of something that still has beauty, and yet in continuing to hold on to it, you may be slowing down your connection to what is actually ready to emerge for you. Now, I don't say that so that you need to imagine you have to hurry up to let go. Funny thing is, letting go is a symptom or a byproduct of having a great degree of trust in yourself, in life, and the flow of life. By nature, the opposite of letting go, holding on some level is rooted in scarcity, like a belief that if you don't keep holding on to this thing, that you'll miss out, that you won't have what you need, that the thing that you are requiring won't come through, or that maybe it's the wrong move to make. So everything in this moment is coming to the core of stepping forward and stepping inward with this sense of cultivated trust. But it's deeper than that. It even represents trust in what's showing up in your life, trust in the challenges, trust in the beauty, trust in the not beauty, and everything that is revealing itself to you. Because on some level, facing these mysteries is facing yourself. It's facing your experience of you pushed outward, you mirrored. How you are responding to the level of reality you find yourself in is reflecting back to you the current inner state you are operating from, not as a punishment, a test, or a reward, but simply as a nature of reflection, which provides you the ability, as you remember, to operate from silence and responsiveness and not reactivity. It provides you the ability to observe and then decide whether you want to continue with the current choice and way of being or make a new shift. And do you see how that way of inviting yourself to operate in reality becomes, in a lot of ways, so much more loving and so much more dynamic? Because it's less about punishment and reward or doing it right or doing it wrong, but it becomes a way of deliberate navigation, remembering, and in a lot of ways, play with reality. This, my friend, is the level you are finding yourself at. And I reflect that to you, even if you're listening to this and going, yeah, well, but I still feel challenged, or I still feel this. Okay. So be present with it. And rather than getting deeper and deeper and deeper into the story, okay, the story is any belief you have about the why, or this is why not, or anything, and then just get to the core of what you're feeling, what you're remembering, what you're experiencing. Allow yourself to observe it, and then start to make choices from here. You can feel your feelings, but you don't have to run away with the stories. You don't even need the stories to live reality. The stories are just for flavor. They're just the kiss upon this whole reality matrix. It is what it is, what it is. I'm also invited to reflect to you that there is likely a certain level of sweetness in your life, like something that is really beautiful. And I hope for your sake that you are celebrating that. I hope that you're really letting yourself immerse in that. Not with an asterisk, not with a yeah, but. Please, for the love of you, I'm hoping you are giving yourself some deep permission to immerse in the beauty that does surround you, that is within you. And maybe this is an opportunity to reflect on what has shifted since you've very intentionally been taking this journey. There's something to that. There's something to the heart of that is, let's say, being offered as an invitation right now. To bring it all together in the most practical way in your life, because these are wonderful things to hear, and the invitation is embodiment. One, consider if water is stepping forward as a teacher for you right now. Studying the ways of water, really spending time immersing in it, walking by it, drinking more of it. Water is being highlighted as an element that is calling for your attention, and in interfacing with water, more understandings may reveal themselves. Some people ask, well, how do I do that? Sometimes it's meditate, taking a bath or shower, or drink a lot of water, sit with water, run your hands through water, go to a body of water. Just spend time in presence with it. You don't have to always think about these things. Just spend time in presence, and many times mystery reveals itself. Additionally, there is a reminder here that even as you continue with this very successful path that you're on, to remember to continue to adhere to your way, to adhere to your core values, to remember that as you walk this path, so you are reflecting and adding to the collective consciousness for all. So understand that if for any reason you're wondering what is your purpose or how you are adding value to this reality, please understand that your energetic way of being is the contribution, and everything else is your flavor of how you are choosing to experience and express it. It doesn't truly matter what the external form is, so long as it is in a coherent form to you living your version of a flow-based life. And really that just comes through giving it to yourself consistently, allowing yourself to consistently have it, allowing yourself to have the nuances of life, giving yourself a break, understanding you don't have to do anything perfectly, understanding that really all we're ever resisting when we resist things is our own energy. And so even if you find yourself in resistance, even if you find yourself going, oh, I don't know if I'm doing it good enough, have a laugh. Have a laugh. Cut yourself a break. And then just take the next now step. And if you do it again, have another laugh. Cut yourself a break and do the next now step. And even if you do that infinity times, have another laugh. And then take the next now step. All that ever matters is now. So free yourself from any perceived burdens of what you thought you should do or shouldn't do, and focus on the embodiment of who you are being now. Give yourself the gift of being that now, and you will continue to experience more flow in your relationships, in your business, in your life, in any creation that you have. On all levels, my friend, I know that you got this. And if you are feeling inspired to go deeper with this work, I'm about to host a portal, a very intimate portal, with myself, a few others, in the field of synchronicity. Oh, this is a good one. If you're interested in getting first notification on it, please go ahead and check the description link area, sign up for the flow book, and that will give you the opportunity to be in the newsletter. Or you can also check out the Self-Alchemy Lab. There will be some announcements there, also in the description link. And in all cases, my friend, I once again deeply appreciate you, and I imagine you continuing to connect to your most auspicious flow-based path. Talk soon.